It's 5:39, May the 16th. The Charter Revision Committee meeting is now in session. Let's go ahead and do a roll call of members present. We have Dr. Reyes.
Here.
We have Tanya Benavides.
Here.
Mr. Killam.
Here.
Mr. Caranco.
Here.
Ms. Christy Hale.
Here.
Myself. Here. We have a quorum. Missing, and it's probably running just a little bit late, I believe, is Henry Suine. He let us know he's en route.
Jack Byam.
And Jack Byam and Roque Vela. But we do have a quorum. We already have conducted roll call. If we just stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, please be seated. We're going to take things maybe a little bit out of order. We're set up for public comment and we have a guest with us, but if it's okay with you, I want to give a little bit more time for some members to be here, Judge. I know your time's precious. If it changes, signal me so that we can give you that opportunity. Thank you. Let's go to item 4, minutes. Has everyone been able to review the minutes that have been passed around or sent an email?
Yes. Well,
If so, I'll entertain any motion or regarding that.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from May 9th.
We have a motion by Tanya Benavides. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Christy Hale. Any discussion? No discussion. Call for the vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? None opposed, with Jack Byham, Henry Suine, and Roque Vela in abstention. Ready to go into our next item. Let's go to item number 5, discussion with possible actions to amend the city charter. Just to bring everybody up to date, we had our last meeting, but we kind of left it free so anyone could discuss if there was something inside that was important. Would you all want to proceed in that manner? Do you want to just stay in section 1? If not, we can jump as long as we stay within these items and don't deviate from the agenda. Or is there something that someone would like to bring out so we could be a little more focused on Article 1, Section 1, Section 2?
Sorry, so to clarify, last time you did not jump around, you just went in order?
No, the way we did it is we called the agenda item out, but we were staying within those. So in other words, let's say on this one, you wanted to talk about section 2.9. We didn't wait to that one. You could bring in,
Okay.
I'd like to talk about this section, or do we have any information? Because Mr. Walter was very generous in bringing up what they have brought out. So we're getting more information. But if you're not present and there's something that's important that you feel hasn't been addressed, that's why I say, let's go ahead and revisit it right now.
Do we have a report from legal on the items that we had requested information from since January?
We did, Mr. Walt, for the city attorney's office.
We got emailed out?
Prints of that?
Emailed it, but can we have copies? Do you have hard copies by chance?
I can go make some more hard copies.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Did that include like the comparison with other cities that we were asking for as well? Because I didn't see that. I kind of glanced over it.
On some of them.
No.
I'll make copies. I'm still waiting for it. It's zones and sections. Thank you so much. I can do it.
I'll get it.
I will disagree with you, Judge.
I'm not doing the boss right now, right?
Yeah, but there's a video recording and I don't want to look like.
Hey, he's in action.
No, he's
That's
doing
alright.
wonderful. I'm worrying about Mr. Walter. What did you do? Or why did you make it? You don't know, not like that. You volunteered.
Thank you.
Thank you.
sometimes Mr. Walter goes over to his court and has to present there, so there's a little dynamic.
There's nothing wrong with letting
There
people
isn't.
copies,
No, I agree. I agree. And when you are a public servant, that's what you do. You're to serve.
Because he wants to know what changes we might be.
Alright, what's he doing? Pulling pages.
Exactly.
I'd like to know what paper the city uses. It's so nice and heavy.
Right. We use very thin, be cheap. There's like, oh, they're stuck together. What the-
Yeah.
Those are hard to come back.
Well, that I can recall, there was nothing major in section 1
No.
that we wanted to revisit, so maybe we want to look at.
Was the definition in 2 was the one we were really looking at more?
Yes, it was section 2.01, composition qualifications and terms. And that was, sorry, Mr. Chair. if I-
No,
if I may be
you're fine,
recognized, all right.
Mr. Caranco.
Andrew Caranco, for the record, just reading some of the changes here. We have changed, or we've asked to change. Whenever is used in this charter, it refers to members of the city council other than mayor. However, the term "and city council" shall mean the 8 council members and the mayor. We elected to delete part of that and requalify that as the terms "city council member" and "city council" shall mean the 8 city council members and the mayor. And that's commensurate with the language we included later on to give the mayor a vote.
Mhm.
The second point is in B, qualifications. We increase the days from 90 to 180 days. On section C, we added the following language, terms and limits. A person who...
Sorry to interrupt you, Andrew. In B, did we also look at solidifying the language to go not just to reside within the district, but to have your voter registration
That,
up to date?
Oh, that's right. were
we look at
looking
that here, but this does not reflect that change. That would be in the, in that line. Additionally, city council members shall have resided in the district.
Mhm.
So voter registration, that's the other language you need to include there, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
We're on what section?
This is section 2.01, subsection B, line 3.
Got it, thank you.
All right, after, so make a note of that. Terms and limits, we added the following line, terms and limits halfway through, after the line, 2 years shall be deemed to have served a full term. The line we've included there is, a person who is delayed taking the oath of office for longer than 6 months due to an election contest shall not be deemed to have served a full term. This line we did take exception to in the last meeting. We said 6 months seems like an awfully short period of time. The recommendation that the charter made was to increase the number from 6 months to 12 months, or 1 full calendar year, for whatever reason that he may be delayed. That was the suggestion that we voted on there.
For the record, Henry Souvenay is with us. Mr. Souvenay, we got your notice where you said you were coming, so when we just started on the first one, we have not done public comment. We have a visitor here that would like to share some information with us, so
Very good.
we kind of postponed.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Whenever you want one.
Do we, okay, does anyone know if Mr. Vela will be,
No, he's not coming.
okay. And Mr. Byam?
We'll double check here.
He responded that he was gonna be here. Let me.
Well, I can start. I don't want to take most of your time. I know you're all here starting. You're just busy.
He indicated he was gonna be a little bit late.
Okay.
Let him go.
And we can forward the information at that time. At this time, I'll entertain any motion to open up public comments, which is listed as, we have Mr. Killens here, motion. Do we have any, second? Second by Andrew Caranco. Any discussion? No discussion. Call for the vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? None opposed, with Mr. Jack Byam and Roque Vela in abstention. Miss Judge, if you would introduce yourself, like if everyone doesn't know who you are.
No, but for the record,
Yes, sir.
Jesus Dominguez, Municipal Court Judge, for here for the City of Laredo. And I'm gonna be as brief as I can, but it's something that will be a little bit lengthy, but I won't take more than I should. should not be more than 10, 15 minutes because of the timing of what we were doing as part of the practicum that I participated in. Let me give you a little brief history of who I am. I'm Jesus Dominguez. I got elected as a municipal court judge back in 2018. I served on 2 charter revision committees. In fact, I served with Mr. Killam, and the last one I did serve. And it was one that was a lot of painstaking. There was a lot of things that we were able to do and we're wanting to present to the city council. But then again, I think you were also with us at that time. And what happened was, even though we have a lot of good ideas as citizens, there's a lot of things that get shut down. Don't feel bad, keep on doing it. You need to do the right thing. And this is where it starts, here at the Charter Review. Believe me, council does listen, even though they feel like it's their thing. You should be very involved in it, and I really appreciate the service that you all do because it's a lot of work, it's a lot of volunteer hours that you all put in, and it's a lot of work when you go through the whole thing. I'm gonna try to simplify it with Article 5, which is the municipal court. And what I did was something that I did, and as part of the program with the city, and Tammy, we collaborated, we sent city employees to do a practicum, which is called a Certified Public Manager. And I participated this last time as a public official. There's other public officials that did serve. There were 4 more city councilmen, and our city manager also participated in this program. And what we were tasked to do was, let's see what is able to do and make the city run a little bit better, or how is it that you can improve your department, or what it was. But because we're all elected officials, all of us got different topics as policymakers or as administrators in the court of what we needed to do. One of the things that happened that when I came to be a judge was I learned quickly after a couple of seminars and a couple of conferences that we attend that 95% of the judges here in Texas are appointed, and 5% of the judges here.
Judge, I'm sorry, don't mean to interrupt. Just for the record, Jack, Byam is in attendance with us. The Honorable Judge Chuy Dominguez is talking to us about Article 5,
Yes.
and it's under public comment, municipal court. Thank you,
Yes.
Jack, for joining us.
You're gonna put it in the chair,
Yes.
that's fine. This is right here.
Oh, there's, we're right here. Sit right here.
Yes. So, what I learned was 95% were appointed and 5% were elected. Or 5% were appointed.
Yeah.
95, yeah, I got mixed up.
Appointed.
95% were appointed, 5% were elected. El Paso and then the city of Laredo were the biggest cities that still had elections. So, in talking to the different administrators and seeing what is it, we find out that what the business of the court is basically a lot of administrative work. We do deal with Class C misdemeanors, which comes out of the transportation code. Basically, a lot of the comes out of traffic tickets. But we also deal with all the Class C misdemeanors, which could be simple assaults, simple public intoxications, sort of those type of cases that get a citation and don't go to the justice court or to the justice center courts, which are the county court of laws or the felony courts. But we deal with those type of cases. We also deal with all the city ordinances. Anything that happens here at city council and they get enforced, they get to be brought up with our court. We also have power to do injunctions. If any injunctions come up in front of that are brought up by the city attorney's office to the municipal court in order to prevent anything from happening, or you want to stop some type of behavior and they want to say, we couldn't do it with a citation, we want to do it with an injunction, they can bring it to our court and we're able to listen to, because it allows us through either city ordinance or through the charter or through Texas law that we do it. So we were created as a municipal court of record during his term as judge, which happened back in 2007, it was approved in that year when it became a municipal court of record. When it did, then only lawyers could participate. No more free lay people, civilians could have been judges like it was in the past. So in going and seeing the history of the charter, we see that this charter was revised it was first enacted in 1911. And in 1911, a lot of things were happening in Laredo, especially the same population that we had in 1911 as we do now, which is not true. We've grown as a city, and we've really expanded as a city in the last 30 years. So in the city, we go back and we look at it culturally and historically and politically. Why is it that the judge in Laredo is elected and not appointed? So we go back to 1800s. In the late 1800s, there were a couple of parties that were out there. It was the Botas and the Huaraches. And I think you all become familiar with it because as part of the whole thing, you need to know a little bit of the history of Laredo to understand why is it that we evolved to where we're at. So in knowing what happened, the Botas and the Huaraches, which is the Reform group and the Independent group, which is the Partido Viejo, the Partido Viejo ended up joining with the Reform group and ended up doing the Independent Club, which was the Partido Viejo. And at that time, the Partido Viejo was in force and they ruled the city of Laredo and the county of Webb. It was basically made up of lawyers, politicians, businessmen, anybody that would work with the city. They all had to become part of the Partido Viejo. You needed to do anything with the city, you had to be part of the Partido Viejo. You wanted to be a teacher, even teachers were part of the Partido Viejo, the superintendent. They needed to go through the Partido Viejo. It got to the point where it got so egregious that in 1977, when the last mayor that had been in power for 35 years stepped down, a new mayor came in, and this charter, which we know now, was enacted. And it reformed the whole deal of how is it that we did. City council was reformed, became more of a city manager type of business here in Laredo. And the municipal court, well, still existed, but the municipal court at that time ended up being an elected official also. So, or an elected official, no, it was an appointed official at that time and then it turned out to be elected thereafter. And when it became an elected official, we fell under the things that all elected officials fall under here. We made it a little bit odd, but it made it the judge an elected official. And when they made the judge an elected official, he was not able to hire anymore because of the way government was enacted, and the governing body said every elected official cannot have any more employees under them. So, because the city manager runs the whole show. Same thing happened to the judge. Judge wasn't able to handle the hiring or firing of anybody. All the power was given to the municipal clerk as a department to do the hiring and the firing for that department. However, it's still allowed through charter for the municipal court judge to administer anything that happens at the municipal court. So right now under charter, I still call for when the court's gonna be open, when the court's gonna be closed, when the hearings are gonna happen, what type of hearings will happen and what time. So I still dictate a lot of the things that happen inside the courtroom. I don't dictate what happens at the clerk's office. I only dictate. They have to adapt to what I want, so there's a lot of communication between us and the clerk's office to get everything going to administer justice here in Laredo. So we fell into the point where we became administrators. So my whole focus was, should Laredo now have an appointed judge or an elected judge? And the reason that it came out forth was because of all the administrative duties that the judges were doing, and not more like the typical type of judge that we all think about when we hear judges from felony courts or county court and law courts. It's very different. So I delved into the thing with the paper. I started looking at the history behind it. I looked in comparison to other states, what they do, to other cities here in Laredo. But what really drove my paper was I was able to create a survey and put out a survey. I think this is it. So my objective of the practicum was to see the need for an additional judge or judges for the city of Laredo and the sentiment of the constituents regarding electing or appointing judges. So the whole thing that drove the paper was we've been growing, it's been growing, but the court remains the same, one judge. In the revision that we did in 2008, in that one we created 2 associate judges. But one was given to the city manager to appoint, and the other one remained with the county, with the presiding judge to appoint. But he had the opportunity to bring in 2 judges and seeing what is it that they would come in. And it was basically at the liberty or at the well-being, if the judge wanted it, if he felt they needed it, he would bring him in. And judges, I think you had 2 appointees, or you have 1 appointee at the time. I think it was Belinda Mendez and Edward Maddox.
But it went 1 and 1. The city picked 1. They picked Belinda, and then I got to pick 1.
And Mr.
And
Maddox.
then when Belinda judge had to get out, we brought in Juan Caballero.
And the city appointed him.
Yes.
Under your recommendation, I mean.
Yes, it was one of
It was
those.
weird.
It was.
It was kind of weird the way it was set up. We ended up saying, but they would look at us as judges for the appointment. And so the whole deal of looking at this paper was, do we set it up? Do we allow people to get appointed by the elected officials? Do we get the people appointed by management? Or do we allow the judge to appoint? So in doing the survey, I sent it out to the VAR, and we got a lot of responses not a lot of responses, but the responses we did get from the VAR were basically that they wanted to remain able to see who the judge was. Because they wanted accountability of the judge. They knew what the judge did, the work they did, and all that. We also sent it out to another, the survey I sent it out to the realtors, not because my wife's a realtor, but because it made it a lot easier to send it out to them, and knowing that there would be all type of people that have become realtors, from law enforcement to teachers to social workers to people that like to some people that are in banking also get to be realtors. It's not shot up to anybody. You study to be a realtor, but to get the certification, but you can have any type of background like it is a lawyer. So that's why I thought it would be a good idea to send it off to them, and they did respond also. And then I opened it up in my Facebook page and my LinkedIn, and my LinkedIn is more people in the type of industry that I'm in, but there's also people in business that belong to it. And we did get responses from them. And a lot of the people will still want the judge to be elected and not appointed. And I started seeing why is it. So knowing the history of Laredo, what we've been through and what has gone through, I can see how is it that they want to say who the judge becomes. So, and then we saw that the city's now close to 260,000 people. I think it's the last census. We know that we're a lot more, we're bigger than that. So it seems that the judge needs to be elected, and the judge needs to be, and Laredo needs a second position for a second judge to be elected. So my recommendations, after going through the whole deal that I went through, the judiciary, the backgrounds, the study that I did, and I'm showing you a little bit of what I did in my paper, and seeing all these things. And there was different plans from different cities and different states. How is it that they would pick it? They would get a group of people like you, but people that are in the industry, and they would serve in the committee, and they would get the most qualified, and then they would present it to the governors or to the person in charge, and then they would go through an appointment. They were first appointed, and then there was a combination of an appointment of an elected type of deal, because then they would hold retention elections. Basically, the retention election is what happens to us on our second term. And you see everybody has a second term. It's basically a retention election. Should we keep them or should we change them? And if somebody runs against you, well, they have an opportunity to get recalled or stay in office. But that's it. It will be a second term and that's it. And then you move on. The other courts they have retention elections, but they don't have term limits. What I want to say about this, it's an excellent plan, but it wasn't one that was accepted. It came in second in the survey. They do, but what I did see was they do want a combination of having an elected official and also having some type of appointed officials, which makes a lot of sense of what's happening here with our associate judges. They're appointed. They're recommended by either management or us, but I'm making a recommendation also on that one, and I'm holding it till I make the recommendations. But on the thing for the judge does get to appoint who he needs, but it's confirmed by the governing body, which is City Council, which makes a lot of sense. And then the nonpartisan elections, that's what we have presently in Laredo, nonpartisan elections. We run in November, we run with the general election. You don't know they're Democrats, you don't know they're Republicans, everybody's in the same ballot, and whoever you feel is more qualified is the one that usually gets elected, or the people feel. Can it be a popularity contest? Yes, it can. Can it be something that you put out more information out there? Yes, it can. Can they be expensive? Yes, they can. Because you need to sell yourself to the general public and tell them why is it that you should be there and not the other. But that's the one Laredo presently has, and I think it should be continue to be done according to the answers in the survey. And then the combination of appointed and elected. And then I'll go through the method. I'm not gonna go through the methodology with you guys, but there was something. The results were the participants want to be involved in this election and they feel that they can hold the judge accountable through an election. The participants who wanted a say on who became the municipal court judge. So it made a lot of sense to me in seeing what all the data that I was gaining through the information that I got, that the judge should continue to be elected. And I also ended up seeing that if the judge is elected, he can be held accountable through retention elections, and he can also be able to appoint. So my recommendations, this is the results and the 4 years, and you can see this part of the surveys would be more accountable to the public than an appointed one. 47 answered yes. They feel that somebody that's elected is more accountable to the people that are electing them, appointing them, than the general public. If they're appointed, they don't feel that they're held accountable. And 9 answered, not really, and 5 responded with a no or not at all. It didn't make a difference to them if they were appointed or elected. And who will be the most qualified answer? 43%, the 43 people on the public said it should be elected, 7 answered it should be appointed, and 25 answered it should be a combination of. So with that answer, that's what made me think, what is it that we do with the associate judges? It makes a lot of sense. We elect the municipal court judge, and then we allow the municipal court judge to pick who he wants as his appointee. So that made sense to me, because they're already, like this guy, they pick this guy as their judge, and they're respecting his wishes to see who is appointed.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
The judge and the associate judge.
Check by him. No, I'm just putting the record,
Yes.
check by him.
Would all be handling the same types of cases?
Yes, they do the same work.
Okay.
An associate judge and a municipal court judge, they all do the same work. What makes it different is the presiding judge. The presiding judge is the only one that calls the shots of when is it that we're gonna be doing the dockets, at what time, and so on and so forth. And then assigning different duties to the courts and who's gonna be listening to the cases. That's what the presiding judge does. But everything else, they're able to do the same thing. So my recommendation was that I would recommend for an additional position to be created through charter, through the revision of the city charter, to have position 1 and a position 2. They both work for the court. And I would also recommend for each to appoint their own associate if needed. Now, does that mean that it's gonna start as soon as the charter starts? It should, but we have it as a governing body. If at the time they feel that there's no funding, so on and so forth, it probably won't happen. But if it's in charter, it's a whole different story. If you tell it, it needs to start, or because of the charter, we need to follow it, we need to have an election would start. And my recommendation in the language, other municipal court, esto no le pregunté. How do I get out to the main one on this one, Mario?
Escape?
Yeah, just
Escape? And then how do I get out of this
With
one?
the arrows, you can go up and down.
Oh, right here, the mouse.
Yeah, the mouse. Oh, okay. Just there you go.
Well, let me skip everything.
You wanna go to another file or to the top of
That's the
the?
first.
To the bar all the way.
Yeah, the bar on the left side, sir.
Which one?
That one.
The
right?
No,
No,
we're-
no.
Oh, this one?
No.
No.
To the side.
To get out altogether.
Right?
No.
Where do you wanna go?
Oh, I wanna go to the main page,
What do you mean by me?
right here.
Ah, okay.
So, as you see, that's part of your charter. So what's underlined is what I'm recommending, and what's stricken is what's in the charter. Right now, the way it stands in the judicial branch of the government code, it says, this is the municipal courts of record, which created Laredo, and one of them, which would be the exemption to the Death Star bill, would be that if a provision of this subchapter conflicts with a specific provision for a particular municipality, the specific provision controls. So in this one, would not have a difference if the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court says, you know what, it was a good bill, it's gonna stand, cities, you cannot follow city law anymore, you're gonna have to follow state law. Well, we're under state law on this one, so it will give us the opportunity to have our own language and how is it that we have courts in Laredo. So this is that's why I brought it up, so you can see that we would be exempt from the state law under this because it would leave us to control our own court.
Do you have,
So-
do you have a copy of that you could share? Is it?
Yes, I'm gonna leave it here for you guys, okay? Like that you all, Mario can print them, and he'll give it to you. And this is basically the language, and there's some that are corrections, it's just small j's and put them up with big J's. Or where we say before being elected, each judge shall have 3 years of experience in the practice of law, because state law says it's 2 years. But I think 3 years would make it a little bit more qualified. Believe me, there's a couple of lawyers here and they'll be able to tell you the experience they get with somebody where you have a lawyer recommending also. If you have a year or two and then you get to that task, it makes it very difficult, a lot difficult, because there's a lot of things that you're still not able to understand because you haven't been able to fully practice. So those are the recommendations that I would make, so it would be an elected position, and each judge would be able to pick his own associate.
Mr. Dominguez, I have a question.
Yes.
Because currently we have one associate judge that is selected by you and
Mhm.
another one by the city manager.
Yes.
So am I to understand that even though we had another elected position, there will still only be 2 associate
No.
judges?
Yes, I will still say 2. So you have 2 full-time judges now, and then you get the 2 associate judges. And the associate judges can be full-time also, or part-time, or whatever time they can come in because they're at the liberty of when the judge wants them to bring him in. That's the thing. So you always, that's why there's a need for a full-time judge, an additional full-time judge. And then, I would take it away from the
City manager.
city manager to appoint and give it to the other judge to make his appointee. So each judge would have his own associate judge. And they'll still be responsible to run the efficiency of the courts. And one of the reasons that I'm telling you is, when he was in office, I don't think there were more than 2,500, no more than 3,000 cases that were being filed a month when you were in office, and that's only, what, 15 years ago?
What's the number now?
14? Right now, we're getting 5,700 cases a month filed. With this new chief,
I think
this new
what-
chief kicked it up by 4,000 cases a year.
And a district court, if they get, I'm gonna be super crazy generous, 600 cases filed a month. Just give you an idea how much volume a municipal court, it's not even close. For the amount collected for the state of Texas in the judiciary, municipal court bats beyond its size. It's like a,
Yeah, the funding would not be a problem. I think the court's self-sustaining. Right now, the court, in the last report that I saw, for last month, we were able to collect close to $855,000, which the city retained 500 and something dollars. And the state received the balance, which was close to 245,000 or something like that.
How does the split work between the state and?
No, the state only receives part of the court costs.
administrative fees, card, there's
All
certain
those
things,
all those
Carlos,
fees,
that
all
you
those
have
court
to.
cost fees belong to that. The fines belong to the city. So, and there's certain fines also, and certain part of the court costs belong to
But
the
that's
city.
where it's quasi. He's also considered a state court. If you go from the power, that was Senator Saffirini. She had to pass it. That gives the enablement there. So he has that kind of power. So you'll see that little split there.
Yeah. So, and seeing the difference of self-sustaining right now, in the financial impact that we have with the city, I think we only, it's like 2.3 million. And we collect close to, for the city, we collect close to $6 million a year right now. When he was there, it was 1.5 million.
Does everybody know Plano, home of Toyota, all these big businesses?
Not a bad place to live.
They gave more to the state of Texas, Laredo did, than Plano. It has that kind of, it bats beyond its reach. It's crazy. And courts aren't supposed to make money, for the record.
No, we're not.
They cost
Yeah,
money,
it's just
but
about-
this thing generates crazy amounts.
It's just the nature of the beast, and that's what it is. But it's not a money maker. It's not. Believe me, the budget's $855 million for the city of Laredo.
Yeah.
$6 million is a drop. Yes, sir.
And I like the way you thought that through with the administrative judges, because for some of you it may sound like, oh, they fill in when so-and-so's sick. No, it's so busy that when
He's
he has a
working.
trial,
He knows.
Yeah, it's constant.
he has trials, the dockets have to go on at the same time. So yeah, they're always there. So
Question,
Yes, sir.
Cliff. can we-
Mr. Kittle, yes.
Is there any, I guess would the volume increase if there was additional judges to, or is it kind of the volume kind of bottleneck because of the?
That's the whole thing. You want the people expect a lot of customer service when they come to the court. If you have a judge and you have one of the associate judges right now sitting in two courts, there's still things that need to get done with the court, because 65% of all the work is done outside of court. But the people expect their cases to be heard. So if we don't have another judge doing the actual signing, the actual work, we have it electronically now, but if we don't have people overseeing that, then a lot of the paperwork that gets to Austin will be late. And that's when they start calling, why hasn't my license been able to? be lifted so I can be able to go get my license, because I already paid. Why hasn't it happened? Well, we need to get it cleared here in order, the judge needs to sign in order for me to send the paperwork to Austin. And we just want to make it a little bit easier for everybody when they show up to court, for them to go through swift, quick customer service. That's what we want. And I think if having another full-time judge would make it easier for 2 judges to be handling it, and then you have another third judge, a third party there right now. Right now, I can't have the 3 judges at the same time. I can, but I'll make 2 of the associate judges full-time positions. And if I do make it 2 full-time positions, then I'm gonna start losing judges, because they only get paid like $50 an hour. And then getting paid
Private
$50 an
practice
hour,
attorney, yeah.
they won't be able to practice because they're here. And if they're here, they'll only be making close to 100,000. And then, believe me, as a lawyer, you're not gonna be, that's not a lot of money. If you're in private practice, there's a lot more money you can make. He's making close to 100,000 right now as a lawyer for the city. But it's still, and he'll tell you, it's a lot of work and it's a lot of things, but there's an opportunity that I'm gonna be able to move up. There's a lot of benefit from working with the city and being a public servant. But I will not attract, it would be very difficult to attract people to come in if they're not given some type of a benefit where they're able to practice as associates. And that's the reason we need another full-time judge. So I guess, is there any questions?
I saw a hand up by Mr. Suede. Did you have a question, sir?
Yeah, so and I'm not trying to read your mind.
But you are.
I think the question he asked was, how I heard it was the following. Let's not use municipal court as an example.
Okay.
Just choose any government office. You have 10 employees in that government office, they'll find work for 10 employees. You put 20 people in that government office, and there'll be enough work for 20 employees. What's driving the number? What drives the caseload that's coming in?
If you keep on, look, if we go with that logic, okay? Then you started the municipal court and the police department and the code enforcement officers at the time of the creation of the court, or maybe what, 60 police officers and maybe 20 court enforcement. Right now, we're up to 120 court enforcers, and we're still short because there's still a lot of enforcement to be done. So we get 120 code enforcement officers, and we're up to 565 police officers.
And
That's what's driving the caseload to go up.
And not necessarily the court that's growing, so that answers that question.
Yes.
So you have the employees out there that are driving and bringing in quote unquote the business, and I know that's the wrong terminology.
No, but you're using a business analogy.
Right.
How is it that you're getting your
Yes,
your input?
exactly.
And this is how we're getting it,
Got it.
because there's more tickets being written.
I did.
Because it's just the nature of, because there's more police officers out there. And now, and let me tell you, and just on a side note, I sat down with the people from United Independent School District, and I sat down with the people from LISD and the people from TAMU, and they want to start filing more cases at the courthouse also because of the vaping cases that they're not able to prosecute as Class Bs because they're usually Class C misdemeanors, and they want to bring them into the municipal court. So that's another factor that's going to start driving up the caseload.
All 3 of those institutions have the same concern about vaping?
Not TAMU.
Oh.
LASD and UISD.
And what was
TAMU is another thing that
what
they
was
have.
their concern?
Their concern was the traffic.
Ah, got it.
And now it's gonna be worse because of what's going on with all the construction.
And if I made another issue is the delay in getting trials, because if we don't have the judges to hear the trial,
Yeah.
they go down.
But that answered the question that I had about what was bringing in, and so really it's external to the court.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with us. Our employees, Christy will tell you, when I first started, there was only 16 clerks. Right now, we're up to 24 clerks. And we're kind of fine with what we're doing.
Right.
But if we bring another judge, it'll probably drive up the thing for the clerks. But the money's, it's self-sustaining.
Right.
Like,
Right.
Is
it's a
there,
wash.
rather than kind of making a charter amendment that says, let's go from 1 to 2, to your point of like, is there some way to base it off of like, when there's enough case volume, you can just, it's just sort of automatic, or if there is, if it's population
Like a kicker?
based, or, Well, just that, as, rather than saying, okay, well, now we need a third one, let's amend the charter, now we need a fourth person.
No, let me tell you.
Did you
Going
have
back,
those
Yeah.
stats? Because I know there's a lot of cities are
And
comparable
she
to
knows.
us that have two judges.
There
I don't know
are
why we
more.
don't. That's
Corpus
right.
Christi.
More.
Yeah,
Corpus.
more.
Corpus Christi has.
So there's something that's more based on,
Ten.
what the need is or whatever.
It's a need.
Rather than
Could
making
we
a charter
automate it?
amendment, there's like a
It's
formula
automated.
built in
Could
or
you automate
something,
the
or,
number of judges?
is there another way? I don't know, you have
as the
experience
case
in-
It's tough, you
It's-
can't
it's-
put a
I wish
kicker
we
or
could,
whatever.
because I think what they do it with the district courts. They don't do it more, I don't think they've done it. I think the last time they did it with the county court of laws, what
We're
they
looking
did,
at it.
they were doing, Lubbock has more judges than we do. And and I'm talking about state judges. They also have, they have an extra municipal court judge. Even though their population's more students, and it's 10,000, I think, difference, they got more judges over there in Lubbock than we do here in Laredo. So why are we having to do that and have our citizens being delayed? Because it's just the time we can see them. It's not because we don't want to see them, it's just because there's not enough people to listen to
And our
the
PD
cases.
files twice as many cases, it seems like, than Lubbock. Like,
Yeah.
we have so many more cases here than Lubbock.
And the reason why, because of the people that are coming in. It's not only subject to the people here. Once they cross, we also have people that are
The
coming from
daytime
Nuevo Laredo
population's
and
crazy.
the bridge and all that. So we get a lot of people from Mexico
And,
with problems.
And Montreal too, we've also had trials in French and we've even had you have to call it for translator. Yes. Andrew Caranco.
Judge, and I think to Mr. Killam's point, you're asking for two positions here, or one extra position
Just
here.
one extra judge.
Why just one if there are jurisdictions that are larger than us and have less cases? Is one sufficient for your job, for your work?
Because this can happen, okay? And the reason I want it in the charter, and you all have been dealing with the governing bodies, okay? If you put it in charter as needed without a kicker of population, then they say, well, there's no funding in this year. That's because we're in the check and balances. If there's no funding, I'm sorry, Judge, even though you got a lot of work, I'm sorry, you wanted to run for that position, you could stay stuck to that. And that's basically what it ended up being. If we say every 5 years we should recommend another judge to be brought in, I will leave it to somebody else, believe me, because things might change. But right now, the need's there, and it hasn't changed in the last 20 years or 30 years. And is it gonna change from here in 30 years? We can't tell the future, but we can predict that it'll probably be more people unless we just run out of water here in Laredo and everybody splits.
AI.
Or AI,
So
no.
your recommendation is an as-needed basis?
It would
Make
be
these
as needed,
adjustments.
as needed, so we can make an
Real
adjustment.
question, one,
But we need one in the books.
Specifically,
at
one
least.
will be just added to it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, one in the books,
that sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, every morning, my ego's not hurt, but every Monday morning I go help out. It's so busy. And
That's
as soon
Mondays.
as- Mondays. And I take their pleas. I'm just the prosecutor, so right away when they figure out I'm not the guy to talk to, they're like, "I want to see the judge." And so that's the customer service. Yeah, I'm like, "You will. You get your chance." So
Yeah.
it's
No, we're trying to do the best for our citizens, and I think it would be in the best interest of the city of Laredo if we're able to start growing with the city. And you see it in other departments, you all experience your own deal, and you're gonna see it. So that would be my recommendation to you guys. So if you're able to do something with it, I appreciate it, I left you the language. If you're not, that's okay, my feelings won't get hurt, believe me. I can still go on my own and do it at the workshop and probably present it to the people that are at the end and end up deciding what's gonna be taken to the voters or not. My question to Legal and Mario, so you can have it for them, because I know they're short time pressed to get it out for this election. how about it, they have some recommendations that are at a need basis for now, and then something that can happen in the other election, in
A
2017.
want and need and.
In 2025, when it's only the state amendments that are considered. Can it be done, Mario?
I'm not sure.
And
Yeah.
Mr. Walters?
Well, it can be done whether.
And I'm telling them because it makes it easier for you guys, like that, you know, because I go to the vote,
Every 2 years?
and the last time I was in the revision committee, when you were in, we had 24 amendments. And the elections, Christie, you remember, the elections went through the next day. Now it's a little bit different because they're electronic and stuff. But what I'm saying is, people will probably not participate in the amendments and voting for or against, because they're gonna see a lot of paper, or a lot of pages they're gonna go through, and they don't wanna go through them, and some things might not be able to be done. But you remember those amendments,
We
remember?
talk- we
You were in there when you were in the counting room. I remember you now.
Yeah, and you're right, we've talked about that as well.
And it makes it a lot easier to see, look, we need 6, let's do this 6 this time, but it can be kicked over for the next one and be recommended, so you can put it for another election, and you're able to do it legally. Something to explore. Like that, you don't have to reconvene another charter review, because the next one will be for 2 years from now, at least 2 years from now.
The last amendment was in 2020.
No.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
before I came on board to the charter revision, it was done every 10 years. In 2008,
Like with the census
and then
count,
2010,
yes.
and then we didn't have one till we met again in 2015. Okay, so it was 5 years. Right after ours, it's been every 2 years after that. Boom, boom, boom. And Christie's been involved with those. She saw them. So I know it's a lot of work, but believe me, it's a living document that we all follow the charter. Even though people say we don't, we do. And we try to keep it to the best that we can. And that's why it's a livable, it's our constitution, and it should be evolving every time, to the times. So keep up the good work, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your sacrifice.
Thank you.
So no further questions? Please
No.
eat. Por favor, come.
Judge, thank you for the
Thank you for
public
the time.
comment, thank you for visiting, thank you for bringing that information. Much
That's all.
obliged.
Just for you guys.
Okay.
That's why I give you a copy of that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's that, I guess. But it belongs to Mr. Walters,
Okay.
this way.
Thanks so much.
Chair?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Andrew Caranco.
You saw me going crazy?
Mr. Chair, I would like to move that we visit section, Article 5, I believe that is on the agenda is noted as item number 9.
9.
I move that we visit that item.
We have a motion by Andrew Caranco that we visit Article 9. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Killam. Any discussion? No discussion. Call for the vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? None opposed. Yes, sir. Mr. Caranco.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to open discussion concerning municipal court, section 5.0, 5.02, Judge of the Municipal Court. Having heard the comments from Judge Dominguez, I'd like to hear discussion from the panel over his suggested remarks, and I would like to add in there, I understand the need for perhaps a second judge. My question is, why is the language limited to, why would the language be solely limited to 2 judges and not something concerning along the lines of shall consist of at least 2 judges but not exceed 5, or whatever that language would need to look like, so that they would be able to accommodate growth. So that's what I'd like to put out on the table.
Okay. Does anybody want to hear old political stories, like how it formed? How did that happen? You'll like this one, Dr. Reyes. I was an associate judge. I came in, I ran for office after Wawi Tejerina had decided to run for district judge. I didn't think I was going to run. I was very young, an associate judge, but I did, and I got elected, right? And I don't want to color this wrong, okay? You're saying I'm painting history, but there was a fight with the city manager, right? And trust me, I know him, I know his wife, I know his family. I did my math. Did we ever divorce anyone, sue, or the ranches closed? Is there any? But there was friction, and it was really brought to my attention big time. There was private conversations of, I put you in office, I could take you out. You're gonna have to give an ear. And it was a tough time. I'll share, my wife was very sick with cancer, but she did good. We had double insurance. My practice was good, super blessed. But if it wasn't there, I think about that. What would I have had to do? It was real strange. So remember how you're talking about how do you do power dynamics? I knew I was elected, okay? So I knew my power came from the people. His is private over here. You pull me into chambers over here, I'm dead. I can't control it. You have power over there. So how do you flex? He could turn around and, you know what, we're gonna cut the budget. Boyer, you get 0. Good. I'm still municipal court judge. I could put a lawn chair, I'm gonna sit in the sidewalk and hear cases, and what you sign becomes magic. It's an order, and it's a state court order, and it stands. And there was dynamics that was done, even with the associates. They were brought in. That was kind of a strange compromise that was done, because these two elephants are fighting. So they came up with this. But here's the thing, a judge has to sign every order. So if you put someone that you don't have faith in, will you call him as a judge? No, because that's my order and I have to answer to it to the state of Texas. That became a court of record. That means whatever its decisions, it's already been decided. You don't get another bite of the apple. You have to do an appeal. Before it was de novo. Yeah, that was a cute little court case, and we'll go on. So you saw dynamics like that. And I'll tell you, I had people tell me, hey, I'd put you in office, I could take you out. They're right, absolutely. You have to be humble. You are a servant. Serve it, not above, you serve them, right? So you're correct. And you have to listen to that, versus if you're appointed, are you truly out? That's a big gun to have in your head. I had councilmen tell me, hey, if they're from Mexico, you charge them the maximum amount, You're going, what? You're joking, right? No, because that's what they do in Mexico. So, okay, but this is a U.S. system. You're innocent until proven guilty, you get a trial. We had people from Montreal, they're going, what do you mean? There's a presumption of innocence. Yeah, if they don't present any evidence or stand up, it's an easy one. It's like this, it's skewed. You walk, guy, What do you mean my testimony has the same as an officer? Absolutely. And municipal court cannot be tied to any raising of money to be self-funding, because I'll look strange. People go, what are you doing with that? Now, those dynamics, like I tell you, I always knew the people put me in office. So if the city manager was going, no, I'm gonna appoint someone, then I went to the public, go, hey, city manager says you're too stupid to choose a judge. I think you all know what you're doing, and why does he the only one that can? And I knew I had that kind of power. The people had elected me. You could turn to the council and go, we all share the same district. Your guys are my guys. So it gave me that, even though I have no power to fund, no power to appoint or whatever, but that's where you had the separations and you saw that kind of flex. I think that's very, very healthy. It does help out the system. If he was smart and he really didn't like me, you know what he should have done to me? Not a problem, boy. I think there should be 30 places. What did he do? He divided up my power. Everyone, Judge Dominguez says go touch everybody's house here. If he doesn't hit someone in your house, it was your neighbor, friend, or whatever, it has to reach out and grab. I remember the federal judges were all having dinner and they're joking, boy, you're a kindergarten teacher, we're a college professor. I go, you're absolutely correct. not everybody goes to college, but everybody goes to kindergarten. So that's really where they start seeing the reach out. You have jury trials. You have the whole 9 yards. And there's only one. So there's a funnel where you're divided over there, federal judges. Now, they're Article 3. They're judges till they feel like they don't want to be judges or they get impeached, which is extremely hard. So that's real power, right? They could do crazy stuff, but that's something we're visiting here. How do you put kickers? God, you can't. My dream as judge was 0 tickets. Everyone is flying, doing everything correct. I'm the happiest judge God ever created. But the reality is, you know, you don't know. I remember the city manager goes, I need a position. I lost some because they were pregnant and then they didn't refill the position. And then sometimes, and this is probably going towards something you thought of, Mr. Souvenir, the reward for doing a great job in a bureaucracy is to give you more work. You know, oh, you did the impossible, let's double it until, you know. So the court was functioning real good. I go, hey, we still need to fill that. We're doing 3 times the volume and I've lost 3. And I said, okay, I'll give you 1 if you could guarantee me 800,000 more in revenue. And I'm going, you don't ask Mr. Maldonado, he was the city director for the bridges. You don't tell him, I'm gonna give you another position if you guarantee me there's gonna be, you know, 800,000 more tokens. How could you do that? And I go, and at me as a judge, I can't guarantee you that there's even gonna be 1 conviction. If they're all bad, your job is to dispense justice, not to collect. You know, you're not a collector. So there was those kind of dynamics.
So I guess from your story, then, are you saying that to not expand?
And it's not bad. I was wondering, does he want it as a point? And also, the elected one, Cliff, comes also from the old Spanish. If you look, they were the ones you looked at Spanish law. They were the ones you have to elect your judges and stuff. I'm okay with that. I think the volume is there. Again, it's almost scary. He underplayed it, but this is the way the pecking order goes. Taxes, bridge, municipal court. Everything else loses money. Don't talk about Parks and Rec. Don't talk about any of those are your big cash cows right there, and that's a cash cow. And sometimes it's a nice ATM, and you kind of, well, maybe if I just kick it twice, it'll give me a little bit more, you know. And there's that temptation, right? And that's not what it's about. It's about service and making sure it gives out.
So what do you recommend, given your experience?
I'm gonna lean towards what he's talking about. He says he wants another one elected. I could see that. I could see 2 people being elected to office. I think it will still hold up as a very strong position. It's an independent judiciary. It's a strange dynamic. You gotta see it play here. If he goes talk, you'll see it. The way we do stuff, you know, the legislative branch is really powerful here. The executive's okay if you consider there's limits on it, and the judiciary is out there. And it's a member of a different team because it's also part of the court system there. So if he's requesting it, all right, Judge, I think, you know, he makes sense. I know the volume could be justified in it. How do you all feel about that?
How many courtrooms do you all have?
Back then it was 1, but it was huge.
Yeah.
Now it's divided up. There's 3, and technically the main one could be divided into 2. It's a beautiful court. Her husband had a death case. You have crazy amount of jurors. You need people that could even consider it. Only municipal court could handle a volume like that. It's an amazing facility. And they're not going to build another one like it. Also knew at the time, you know, it was Mr. Bruni. He made it very Romanesque. It's got the columns on it, you know. There's a little Greek thrown in there too, you know.
But the inside is beautiful.
Yeah, it's something else.
It really is. I was stunned.
But the state of Texas, you almost get a little scared how much they're in love with what Laredo brings in. It's like, okay, calm down, hang on, you know, it's a byproduct, it's not your primary one, because then they start seeing it as, okay, maybe we could put a little bit more, get some more in administrative fees and,
More night courts.
yeah.
But it wouldn't be elected till November, so it'd still be a year out.
And there's ways that I bet you they're gonna put a catch on that. You could put the positions until they get funded. Like even mine, I did the conversion to a court of record. In theory, I was in Rio Bravo and we got that passed, but they didn't because they didn't see the need and the expense. It's expensive to become a court of record. You now have to preserve every document, all the evidence. You have to give it up to the state of Texas. You have to have translation of everything. And like I was going, how's the city going to do it for Mandarin? There's AT&T operators that you bring in to do stuff like that, or French, the Montreal. Now I could tell you, it feels good that they go, wow, that's the American justice system, and it does feel good, you know. It's an amazing system we have, how much power. And if you ever want to get even with the judge, stand in front, just go, plead not guilty, set it for trial, plead not guilty, set it for, could you imagine 1 month, 5,000 and go jury trials? I want a jury to hear my parking case. And absolutely. Yeah, the prosecutor will get jammed up into all of that, but those are the reality now. If he says he needs it, how do you all feel about that? Okay, because I could tell you, maybe I was too close and I got to see what it was like to be pushed and stuff like that.
I think
or
one of the most important things he mentioned, and I would like a copy of the. I think he left a copy, right, of the document. Yeah,
We'll print 'em.
I would like a copy because the most interesting
Dr.
thing he
Reyes.
said
Yeah. No, I'm just putting on the record just so they know the voices.
was that he prepared the language for a law that is in review right now that could hinder our court system. So
The Death Star law.
Yeah, the Death Star law, and so that and the fact that he would take power away from the city manager, I'm all for that. So his two arguments of 2 elected and 2 appointed by the judges themselves, and he presented a good case, I thought. I don't like the idea of growing
Yeah,
the
but if we
court
could see
system.
the language,
but
that would
yeah,
be good.
but the language, yeah, I would like to see that too.
Now I play devil's advocate, let me jump on the other side. What Mr. Twitty said is true. You could also put 1,000. I guarantee
Yeah.
you could get 1,000
Yeah, I'm
judges
against growing
busy.
government,
1,000.
so,
And it always seems to get bigger, never the other way.
But
But
he has-
Laredo's getting bigger.
But he answered the question very well.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought, you know, he said,
Henry Suine. I'm sorry again, just for the record, so I keep it.
you know, the answer to the question was that we're not, you know, we're not driven by work orders, so to speak.
Right.
That so we have 20 employees, so we can get enough work orders to come in to keep 20 people busy. No, he was saying it's all fed in externally by the law enforcement, and if law enforcement continues to submit cases or the tickets, whatever citations, violations, then that keeps them busy. So I thought his answer was very eloquent and understandable.
I'll share something else with you. Most of the JPs, well, there isn't right now one that's attorneys. So they're all laypersons. So a lot of the truancy they wanted to present in municipal court, because you have a court of record. And even DPS started going, hey, could I do occupational licenses here? Because, yeah, you've got concurrent jurisdiction. So you see it becoming, I guess it's a bad word, a super justice of the peace kind of court, you know, because that's what it was starting to morph to. And it's a judge that could kind of control, well, first obligations are the city, let's go ahead and keep that before there's any commitments to DPS or anybody else. Yeah. So that's why sometimes when you talk, Dr. Reyes, about, yeah, I get little, I remember stuff. So okay, that's why. Yeah, and we'll talk about direct power and implied power. Implied power is very powerful. Someone that knows how to wield it, ooh, it's a thing of beauty. You should see someone that knows how to use that. It's something.
So in the
Interesting.
end, you're on board with his proposal?
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. I don't see any problem with it. If he was talking about make it appointed, yeah, I think I would jump ship and then say, you know what, because there is a lot of pressure on the other side. Hey, what's your budget, Jack?
Although
You
why
haven't
is
collected?
95% of the other cities appointed?
And they also do like a little hybrid. If you look, San Antonio, one elected, then they appoint the other ones, and then they modified it. So you start seeing
On
some
that
stuff
note,
like
I
that.
forgot. Are you and I didn't see that, I think you passed them out, but are we gonna get those comparisons like of other things that we've asked for? Have you mentioned?
No, go ahead and answer that.
on
Christy
which
Hale.
Which,
Since the beginning, I think since the initial meeting,
which section
Oh.
specifically?
I think pretty much, everyone through ours, yeah.
Yeah.
I think what she's talking about was everything
Yeah,
that's
in
been
general.
discussed and
Yeah.
been asked for.
Right.
It's tough
right
to,
here.
it's tough to.
And we kind of visited, but then to be honest, or correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. because there was some, was that you needed a language? Is it we're visiting, or is it a hard, yes, no, hard, get me this. So I don't know if,
Yeah, this was prepared by city attorney, so
Okay.
he can certainly we can emphasize on it. It's just there's a lot of changes, and it was asked on a lot of different things. So we can present it, but it's out there. I mean,
If it's out there, what do you mean by it's out there? You've already produced it and I can ask for it?
you can go on the
Or
internet
is it,
and
or if it's out
find
there,
it, but-
meaning, Henry, go back and listen to the meeting you sat in where you requested that this be presented and just write it out yourself.
So is it?
No, you can read all different charters, compare it, but we can certainly help with that.
I mean, because
It's just
Historically, that's how staff would usually bring those back to us after the following meeting, just because you all have more staff, and I think that's pretty much what you all are supposed to be doing. I mean, I'm just saying because, and I don't mean you, but I mean that since the beginning we've asked, and I think the thought was that we would get it by the next meeting so that we
Right.
could make a decision.
it's never been suggested that we were asking for something unreasonable or too much. And if that's the case, we need to know now, because, you know, we're moving into a deadline that
Almost
that
two-
we've talked
yeah.
about for I don't know how long. And again, that's, the look on your face is exactly the look on the face of staff that we've been seeing this. It's not our fault, I'm sorry, it's not ready, or whatever.
No,
That's
no, no.
fine, we don't mind.
That's not what I said.
Okay, well then go ahead and finish your thought.
No, it's just not what I said.
Go ahead and finish the thought.
My thought was what I said. It was not that it's not my fault. That's not certainly not what I meant. I'm the one who's saying I'll try to get it to you.
Okay. And try means?
Try means I'm gonna talk to my boss and tell him your sentiments. We gotta get it done. That's what they want. And get it to you.
could I, Alfonso, can I share something into the committee? I'm worried. If nothing is added, we're lucky we get 2 more meetings, and then that's the presentation, because it has to then be presented to city council. And
is the
if
July?
we sold it, July, so I have it in like let's say July 20. And then they have to, let's say if they even agree with us, they have to do the 3 readings, get it out there. That's the hard deadline if we want to get it out to November. So I lose sleep thinking about
So this
all
is
of this
just
could
what,
be for
few
nothing.
of
There's
the
a lot of.
recommendations?
This seems to go back to the April meeting. I don't know if it goes back further than that.
April, how many meetings ago was that?
2
2
meetings ago.
meetings ago. I
Right.
can't tell if it goes back further than that,
It
but
didn't
I don't
include
think-
the last meeting. Yeah, it was drafted for last meeting, yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So this doesn't seem to include everything that we've covered since January.
Is there
Oh,
any?
it should. It should certainly cover everything, but if it doesn't, I'll go to it and make sure. It should.
I think what we were also hoping for
I
was.
never know
What you
either.
submitted was everything up to this date?
Okay, yeah, up to the last meeting.
Last
Yes.
The
yeah,
2
that's
meetings
fine.
ago.
Yes.
I think, well, for the record, maybe it's not the amendments per se that we are lacking, but it's the information and the research and, yeah, so more than anything, it would be not just language that we have participated and agreed upon, but what we didn't have, and what we were hoping to get, to help us make decisions on the sections of the charter in which we did not take action. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Sure.
The research.
And Ms. Benavides, would it be fair to say it's not that there's an expectation that it was expected to already be here and you can't take it? So right now there's known, unknown, and unknown, you know. I don't even know because I had an expectation. I thought I was gonna have that information so I can make an informed decision. That's a concern. Would that be fair, Dr. Reyes? Because I agree, and Mr. Suini, correct me if I'm wrong, that would be a concern, because in theory, if you don't get that, you never even could even consider that unknown. It never came out, and you're concerned about it not being addressed or
We sat at
presented.
meetings where we asked questions about what other municipalities are doing.
Yes,
And the answer was,
I'll
we
get
can
it.
get you that information.
right. So,
And motions were made to that
And
effect.
motions were made. Thank you.
Well,
if I could make a no, go ahead, Jack.
well,
No, no.
there was also, I mean, just in this general vein of where's the information we asked for, there was a committee formed among ourselves
Oh, yeah, we
That-
haven't even
that-
met, right, Carrasco?
that has never met and never produced any information to the committee as well,
Yeah.
right?
Were you in that committee?
No, I was not in that.
Are you sure? You look like the chairperson of that committee. I'm just throwing that out there, Jack.
That was
I
for
wasn't in
one-
that committee.
That's for
Okay.
one section.
It was Ms.
That
Well,
was for
where's-
form of government.
Well, then it should have been easy.
Mr. Bates.
No, you're playing devil's advocate.
Well, no, I was just saying, okay, we're missing
No,
some
but so
information.
can we call, that's a good question that Mr.
Yeah.
Ryan raises.
Yeah.
So were we free to call the meeting of that committee without organizing through the city?
Yeah, as long as it's not a quorum, we're good. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's not a walking forum. Could I give a suggestion? How about maybe this will help, Mr. Walters? If something, and it goes to Mr. Maldonado, whoever is tasked with getting this information, if it turns out you cannot, or you know what, I went to the office, I did a Google search and it goes, I don't know what you're talking, or whatever. Then there's a report back, so there is no more expectation. I'm not waiting on a committee.
number?
What you've requested is impossible for me, a mere mortal, to find for you.
Yeah, and that's understandable. I mean, well, I can use a very small example. At the last meeting, we talked about a port authority.
Yes.
And Commissioner, Vela, excuse me,
Directed.
yes,
And he has information.
and so, you know, that's the kind of information that's what we meant. And I don't know where we're at, and I don't know if that's still a work in progress, but that's an example.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, Mr. Malo, but I'm sure you could address that there is some.
And if I may add, I know you also, after he made the motion, it was second, and you mentioned that, because of time also, if you could provide something brief, I did prepare something for you for today.
Oh, nice.
So
Thank you.
that information is available whenever you wanna hear it. It's some brief information on Port Authority.
Great.
Mr. Henry, can I have your phone number and your email? Thank you, Jack, for disciplining me
I
today.
make a motion that we add Jack.
I know.
The chair recognizes Chairman
Yeah.
Jack behind
We're gonna put you in charge.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, I'm sorry, Andrew Caranco. Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask if we can recognize Mr. Maldonado to hear his presentation on the Port Authority.
I think that's an excellent suggestion. Everyone in agreement? So we have a motion, we have an agreement, we all voted aye. Mr. Maldonado, if you would share with us what you've been able to gather.
Thank you. I did
Mr.
study.
Chair, I obtained some information on port authorities, and I also obtained some information on how we operate here in Port Laredo also. But basically, the request was for me to obtain information on how a port authority works. It's a governmental appointed commission that manages bridges, tunnels, airports, land ports, water ports, and other such facilities of a port. And one of the things that I did, find out is that most port authorities work very, very differently. They're different types. Basically, they facilitate the movement of goods and products between a country and other ports in the world and engage in global trade. The functions, basically, they develop, own, and operate ports and harbors. They provide a safe and navigable channels, offer cargo handling and storage services, maintain facilities and equipment, and make sure that they operate safe and provide security.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Do they have any kind of fines or fees or levies or anything associated?
Yes, yes, and I do have, as far as on the second page, the Board of Commissioners, basically, they're the ones that run the port authorities. How authorities make their monies, basically through user fees from the facilities, cargo handling. I'm sorry.
Are those, are they just implementing that, or do they actually set the policy for that? Say, the fee is $1, the fee is $100, or
Their own board basically determines and they make their own policies, ordinances on how they charge. Yes, sir.
Tiny
Sorry,
bit of
if you
use.
would like us to hold questions to the end, feel free to say that.
I'm sorry?
If you want us to hold questions to the end, feel free to say that, but if not,
Okay.
I have a question about, I believe it is in the valley, don't quote me if it's Brownsville or Port Isabel, but are Port Authority commissioners solely appointed or can they be elected?
Most are appointed by the municipality,
Okay,
yes.
because there's an ongoing election right now.
And that's why I'm saying, port authorities, they're all different. There's not, they're appointed, it could be the municipality or some could be elected. We operate very differently. We basically also operate as a port authority, just that the city council is the actual governing body for the bridge, the airport.
is there like an economic development capacity of a port?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, there is. The other ways that they make money is basically operating bridges, tunnels, airport user fees, bus terminal fees, rail transit fees, retail stores. Even some port authorities have also retail stores within their operations.
And excuse me, when you say here,
Henry Souvenir.
I think this is a good bullet point you have in there, does not, has no power to tax. But you're referring to the port authorities of New York and New Jersey in this case, right?
Yes,
Okay.
correct,
So
yes.
did you bump into?
And I did get that example because as the United States is broken down in districts as far as port authorities, ports. We fall within the district of from Del Rio all the way to Brownsville. In New York, and we're the third largest district in the whole United States. New York is number one as far as a district. Now, when you compare the port itself, Laredo is ranked number one.
Yeah.
And I just brought the example of the Port Authority of New York. Basically, they are financially a self-supporting entity. They do not receive a tax revenue. They have no power to tax or pledge credit of either the state or municipality. And basically, they rely on the fees that they charge through their bridges, tunnels, airports,
User
bus
fees.
terminals. Yes,
Got it.
yes. And as far as also, I brought information as far as Laredo. The source of revenue for Laredo, the bridges, airports, as we very well know, we charge commercial fees, non-commercial fees, pedestrian fees, overweight fees, oversized fees, and we also obtain grants whenever we do any bridge constructions, and also the airport. The airport mainly makes their revenue from leasing property. They also obtain passenger user fees, landing fees, and they do get quite a bit of FAA grants. Now, the revenue for 2023, the bridge brought in close to $80 million, or $79.4 million. And there is a resolution, Resolution 98R 164, that basically indicates that 50% goes to general fund of bridge revenues.
And the remaining funds?
And the remaining funds stay within the bridge system for their operations and for their projects, whatever construction projects that they have. Now, they because of the resolution, it also indicates that the bridge system needs to maintain a fund balance of 15% of their operating expenses. And anything left over, in addition to the 50%, also gets transferred over to general fund if there is a balance left over. And as far as the airport, they do not transfer any funds. Everything stays within their operation. I do want to mention that in last year, the airport received $4.1 million in grants, and this year they're expecting to receive $20.2 million in grant monies.
And
as far as Laredo being a land port, and we do have the airport, I mean, we do also operate as like very similar like a port authority. The only thing is that we're structured different.
The Port Authority
Can you show
basically,
it
I'm
in?
sorry.
No,
Thank
that's
you.
fine.
The Port Authority is basically managed by the city.
Yes, sir.
That's what's
Yes, sir.
happening in this
Yes, sir.
case, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Correct.
Right.
Did you look into advantages and disadvantages of having one or not having one?
Everybody operates very different. As far, I mean, like here in Laredo, the advantage, you have your bridge system that brings in revenues in excess to their operations, and the beneficiaries, of course, are the citizens here. We have a lower
We don't
tax
charge
rate.
in
Yes,
taxes.
yes, lower
We
tax.
had a great ATM machine that was paying into us,
So
which is amazing, and he could tell you about that and that kind of pressure because he did run the bridge system.
So I missed the meeting last time, and so if Bella brought this up, did he say why he was bringing this up? I'm trying to understand
No.
why we're having this.
And Dr. Reyes, I'm gonna join you with that. I'm gonna use this advantage. Where would you even put that here in the charter if you're gonna then turn this into a charter?
No, I can
amendment?
see the benefits of putting it in the charter from
How would you do it, Doctor?
from a political standpoint. Somebody's trying to gain power, right? Because it would
No.
funnel through and
No.
expand government.
Sorry,
Andrew Caranco, do you
And
want to address that? Because, in other words, if it doesn't come from the bridge, it's going to have to come from somewhere
Yeah.
else.
Well,
People, if you take away 80,000 from the city of Laredo, then the
Port-
taxpayer has to
so
flip
a
that.
port authority is operated here by the city. The city controls everything. A port authority, in fact, divests power from the city and allows people, the general public, to participate in the operation of that port. That's why the business community's advocated this for years, because the city does run it very, very well. There's no question about that. Mr. Maldonado is a testament to that. $80 million we're going to bring in this year. But as the private sector, we often have our own, we like being involved in these sort of things because it's important we are able to have that. To answer the chair's question, I'm not quite sure how that would look, but I think that's the issue for the legal beagles, although I would probably seek, because it'd be such a large issue, it'd be probably a new section altogether.
And just
Okay,
again,
but from a standpoint of a
Dr. Reyes.
citizen, okay, and you come and tell me what I want to do is create another part of government here in the city that now is going to transfer this money to this authority,
and now there's a shortage over
and now
here.
we're even discussing it whether they're appointed or elected. To me, it looks like somebody's trying to create a mechanism to gain power. You may not see it that way. You may see it like it's divesting from the city, but if the same people are elected and the same people are now part of the port, to me it just looks like an extension, like an octopus that is trying to, now
Dr. Reyes, okay
concentrate
now.
power. This is an
And
opinion
then
of how it
I'll
looks to
recognize
me.
you, Andrew.
Yeah.
I now recognize Andrew Caranco, if you want to address that.
Yeah, so it's just that what you're saying is happening right now. The same people who have control over this are the elected officials at City Council, which they're doing a fantastic job, and they're doing just fine. But there's opportunities to grow this thing. We're already the largest port in the nation, but if you heard what Mr. Maldonado said, it's mostly true. We're the largest port in the nation, but if you look at New York's separated into 3 separate ports: Newark, New York, and the other one's escaping me right now. New Jersey. So what happens is that actually they're technically the largest port. So we have the opportunity to grow into that, and they essentially, this would put us on par with every other major city. We always talk about growing to the valley. We shouldn't be looking at the valley. We should be growing like Los Angeles, Houston, Miami, New York.
How
And
would
this
the
is-
Port Authority do that? I think that was one of the questions I had, right? Like, how would it become an advantageous?
It's able to invest
Yeah.
into the things that help support its growth. So those monies are being maybe pushed into things which are not
Cliff Killam.
that are
No,
not
it's-
necessarily the infrastructure or the support services that are needed for the port and the bridge to be successful. And so they're being diverted to other things like pension liabilities or other maintenance and operations costs and other things of that nature, and so versus helping for the expansion of the physical infrastructure as well as the people that are needed to help support that.
Henry Sune?
So then it becomes a case of killing the goose and slaying the golden egg. Because we acknowledge that this is bringing in revenue for the city. We acknowledge the traffic is there, and yet almost on a very regular basis, a council meeting doesn't go by where we're not hearing, we don't have money for the infrastructure. We don't have money for the infrastructure. Port authorities are supposed to be planning for that infrastructure growth to handle the trade that's coming in, and that's what the authority does.
And I think the way that relates to, say, people's everyday lives is, by investing in that infrastructure, you make the roads and areas safer. There's job creation. There is, there's a lot of those things that are kind of hand in hand.
Can I just, Alfonso Hernandez again, how is this a city charter issue? In my book, that comes from the legislators there. That comes from them. Okay, we're gonna now break away that department. How are we doing this as a city charter?
Define
That's what I'm
legislators.
putting out there. Andrew Caranco, yes.
So define legislators, please. State
Oh,
legislators,
no,
federal.
let's go local. We're staying here with our city charter, so we're staying local here. So I would tell you, how does a city charter jump over council if they already said, we've planned, this is our department? How does this become a charter revision of Port Authority? I know it sounds like a dumb question, but
No.
someone
No.
explain it to me.
No, it sounds
How's
like a
this
question.
Actually,
Mr. Walter?
It will be created by ordinance, and in the ordinance, it would name the, I don't know what they call them, but I guess board members that will be in charge of those funds. And then the powers they have are given in that ordinance. Now, ordinances drafted by the staff, motioned by a very powerful body who may or may not push their wishes as far as I know there is some way of getting some money to the general fund, but that's minute to the 83 million or that now come in. It would be held. It should be held. That's the one of creating.
But Danny, you can do it by ordinance. You don't need a charter, is what he's saying.
By ordinance, yes.
Chris, I'm gonna recognize Jack by him.
And then I know Henry had his hand up as well.
Oh, no, I was just thinking.
Oh, you were just.
I was just doing this.
Don't do that, Henry, don't do that.
So if I just wanted to understand your concern, it's almost like you're asking this talk about the Port Authority goes beyond revising the charter and get to the territory where we're telling them how to govern.
I
Is that the
agree.
idea?
I feel like I don't know where you. Let's go. We passed. That's where would you stick it in the charter revision? Here, you know, how did it get that kind of power? Which again, I remind us we have two, so we could talk about a lot of stuff and nice stuff and building a glass dome that's going to give us purified. But at the end of the day, I need to see how the rubber's going to meet the road with the charter revision. How are we what are we going to revise here to do that? I just need to be able
Theoretically,
to.
we could just add a new section.
Couldn't we? If all we're doing is making recommendations, why couldn't we do what Mr. Killen just
Okay,
said?
I want to follow through. That's an excellent idea. Do you think you could sell that to the city council and go, look, guys, remember the argument I used? They say you're too dumb or whatever, but we know what's best for you guys, and I'm gonna take away your power and do this. How much power? 80 million? 80 million. I'm gonna take 80 million from you. I'm just going to give you a guess. I want you to guess now, Jack, because you don't know if you're. What do you think that they're going to say?
No, you're being
And I'm trying to just be a pragmatist.
There's a way of framing it to say, well, no, actually, it's not taking. We're sort of. It's an extension of the city, and these funds are being basically earmarked for these purposes, and that we know that, and so it's not necessarily. So they can frame it to where that. They are helping the city's growth and prosperity in the community. So it's not necessary. It doesn't have to be framed in a negative way, you know. And I think it's for their consideration, and they may choose to do it. They may choose not to do it. But I think it's our obligation as a group to consider whether we should or shouldn't.
We can sell, but they don't have to buy, essentially.
I'm going to recognize you, Tanya Benavides, and then I'll answer you, Cliff, where I think that would fit in.
I just wanted to also say, you know, I think if we agree that, or if the consensus is, well, this could be an ordinance that council passes, yes, that may be it, right? They may not be willing to do that. At the end of the day, us putting it in the charter revision and council accepting it to go on the November ballot still means that the people have the final say. So I feel like if this is a conversation that we're going to have seriously, I would put the onus on the people to make that decision.
And I was going to follow up, Alfonso Hernandez to Cliff. How does this get done? I'm not saying it's a bad idea. It should be out there. There's other ways to do it. Each one of us has an influence with a policy maker, and if you want to, oh yeah, I could flex muscle. There's going to be a call like that. I'm sure Mr. Killen could do it. I'm sure Ms. Laudel, I'm sure you, Tanya. There could be, and then there's also the public. Nothing stops us from going, hey guys, this is great. We should all be pushing for this and get it. Not only that, give it its own taxing ability. You can when you're on you could do a medical taxing when they do charge tax. It could only be spent whatever. There's a lot that could be done. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm just saying I know we're gonna have a hard sell. I know we have, in theory, maybe 2 meetings. And I want to make sure at least we did do something that we're gonna put out there. I want to think that I gave up nights to do something. I would hate that I met the most wonderful people in the world. We had awesome conversations, friends for life, and it meant 0 and didn't do a difference. I'm gonna have to chalk that down as a loss, and maybe I'm just too old now. I'm getting, those losses hurt a lot more. So, I don't
Mr.
know.
Henry,
Or it
did
could be
you
the
have a
biggest
comment? No, he was putting his life.
It could. No dreaming, Cliff. That's absolutely. I mean, can I tell you you're wrong? No, you're not wrong, Mr. Killam. You're not wrong. Henry, were you going to say something and I didn't recognize you?
He's still
Good. No, and again, I really enjoy the discussion. I wanna, if it's okay with Mr. Maldonado, it's amazing. You just got here yesterday and you did a big assignment. We do
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
With all the stuff you have to do. Thank you, Mr.
And
Maldonado.
presented it on the next meeting.
Now, Mr. Chairman,
And that's not a reflection. Yes, sir, Mr. Subinate.
and I do want to echo. I want to echo that sentiment again. And this is not to cast any
Right.
disparaging
Aspersions,
remark
yeah.
on anybody. I'm just saying this is. We have about, if we go back to the minutes, we have about 4 of these promised.
Yeah.
And this is the first one we received. So I just thank you, I sincerely.
And just to echo Mr. Subinate, I don't like any of your recommendations, and if I could sit on it, I'll get back to you. Guess what I just did? I did
Yeah.
kill you, didn't I? And just, Boyer, but we ran, oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
So wasn't that your true intent, Boyer? You never wanted to get this?
Part of
Yeah,
my
I
serving,
did do
part
that.
of serving on this commission is that I do have an employer. The employer wants to know how my time is being used and what's being accomplished. And it's tough to meet at those meetings when I'm reporting what's being accomplished, and they may sit and listen to some of these meetings as we're gonna get you this, we're gonna get this, and we don't get it. It makes an organization think twice before saying, yeah, you know what, we're gonna give up some of your time from work so you can devote it to the commission, because you wanna feel it's valuable.
I agree. I didn't know that, but that is absolutely correct. Because the first level is I asked, I did. Oh, now it goes to me. Now let me show you how I'm going to enforce it. Because then the next one is, Henry, apparently you do not know how to ask for stuff because you never get it. Let's move out of the way. And that is a reflection, and that is
I believe
something.
legal was asked if the district or the Port Authority can tax and issue
Mr. Walter,
bonds,
yes, sir.
which no one asked, but they can. So there's a little bit.
And Mr. Walter, this conversation again, I'm going to recognize. I actually do see this gentleman in municipal court, and I'm sure he has other agreements and contracts he has to review and do other stuff. So sometimes when you do feel, I don't think it's a Mr. Walters, it's a shot at the tree, and we might hit, you know, the cameraman too, or whatever. And I think it's going out there. So make sure that when you report back, you go, wow, that was a nice kamikaze mission you sent me in yesterday, because these guys, and what am I supposed to throw back, you know? So I'm sorry, and then I hope you understand, you know, we have to kill someone, and no, that's all horrible. We're not here to hurt anyone, but whatever you can help, that's where this information is coming through, and we appreciate everything you do for us, Mr. Walter.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir, Mr.
If
Maldonado.
I may just make one more comment.
Yes, please.
On the transfer of, for example, this year, the $42 million that are being transferred to their general fund, when they lose that revenue to balance the city budget,
It's gotta come from somewhere.
the council's gonna be confronted with the question, where do I make up this money?
The municipal court.
Well,
There you go. I gave you 2 more judges. I doubled your firepower.
to that point, I would just say that
Yeah.
over the last 2 budget cycles, there was an excess 44 million that the city has been carrying over. So,
Well,
was-
the city also has to maintain a
Fund
fund
balances.
balance.
True.
For all their
They do
bonds.
have to maintain, so.
Right, I guess another way to maybe frame it is, I mean, most cities don't have bridge revenue. So, you know, are we being as efficient as we need to be, or you know, you basically made a similar argument on adding the judges. And so, I mean, I guess, City Secretary, I guess, from what is your given your bridge experience, I mean, do you think that
there's some, you know, what your knowledge of port authorities, I mean, can you share some of your insights beyond the presentation?
As far as like when I was operating the international bridges, as far as the projects that I presented were never denied because of the increase in traffic, working with customs. We did make the presentations to the city council, and as far as expansion projects with the international bridges, and I never had any issues as far as council approving recommendations for expansion, because they even saw the growth. They knew very well the investment that was being done, the city would be
The return is
their return was
through the
immediate
roof.
with the increase in traffic. Yes.
One extra bridge guy would.
How do you think it would be different if during your tenure it was a port authority?
Well, like I mentioned, as far as the funding, the city always has a mechanism of finding the funding to fund their projects, future projects, either through bonds, or pay some of the.
Currently, there's a World Trade Bridge expansion. I mean, how is that being funded?
More likely it will be through bonds, but I would need to ask the bridge director. I've been out 5 years from the city. I haven't had an opportunity to look at their budget, and it would be unfair for me to answer or say something that I'm not aware of. Yes.
Henry Souvenir, and then I'll throw in just a little
If I recall,
caveat.
there was at some point, and so maybe you can help us with this. Aren't some of the funds that are coming in, that 40 million that goes to the city's general fund, being put into the calculation when the city floats a bond as revenue coming in? So there's this already pledged funding for bonds that have been let out by the
So
city.
he's saying for like bond rating stuff, he'll look that there's already set amounts.
I understood that was part of the formula, funds that were coming in from the bridge.
Yeah, it's
They
probably
do?
a CIP tied to the
Right.
bridge income, so.
So that would that would create a problem because the city's already pledged to the the people we borrowed from that source of revenue was going to be used to pay back X.
Think of it
Whether
as
it was-
you're a landlord
whether
and
it's-
you have rental
whether-
houses, and
whether
that goes
it's
in your
bridge-
credit score.
Whether it's
there, right?
bridge related
Yeah.
or road related or not, but. Yeah.
That's
It-
horrible.
But it's like a landlord. They ask you, okay, you're gonna buy a house, but look, I have all this rental income. You know what, Dr. Reyes, come on in. I
No,
want
but
to approve
it's
that.
horrible
rent.
because Mr. Killam just noted that I don't know if that was your intention, but you just highlighted that the city is dependent upon bridges. So we keep on building bridges, right? We keep on building bridges. And then you've noted that we're tied into this bonding to future debt. It's like we're
It's a
hanging
cycle.
ourselves. Yeah.
It's a cycle.
Well, I'm gonna throw in the caveat.
It's horrible.
Everyone
It's
knows
horrible
why the
economic
county wanted a bridge. Does that now make sense? Why the county wants a bridge? Do we all understand that that's a great money maker and woo if they could? So you're up against that because they're going, okay, you get this Port Authority, I can just circumvent and come to this side right here. I make it, and they try to do stuff like that. They would love to have that kind of funding. That's why the city protected it. Ooh, no way, you're going through
The
us.
thing is that we all live in the city and we all live in the county, and so we want these groups to be cooperating,
Yeah.
working together as part of the full community, and also thinking, more broadly as part of a regional, economic
Economic
area, not
In isolation.
infighting. So
Guys, I agree with you. I'm a taxpayer and I have to buy bullets for both sides so they could shoot at each other, and I'm the guy that's writing the because that's what it
That
winds
just
up
hurt
doing,
it.
and you're taking from that one, you're gonna put in another one. What are you going to do with it? You're gonna build a rec center over there? Yeah, no, I never go to the Asherton rec center. I'm picking something really random that doesn't offend no one. So, but that is our business, Mr. Killam. Don Tomas Sanchez came looking for the lowest crossing. There was a reason he came for that. They knew we need transportation. That's the way. The day we lose that, that's Laredo. We don't do semiconductors. That's really our business, and we gotta protect
The
it.
matter, right, is how do we preserve
And make
that
sure that the
and grow
businesses
that?
are happy and they go here, because you could be spoiled, and if you ever pierce the mountains there, that's what really funneled everything there. It's not necessarily marketing, it's geographic. In Europe, you're gonna go east-west. Here it's north and south, and it forces all your commerce right in there. We're lucky, but luck,
We're
how
blessed.
much can you do that and before they go, yeah, we're tired of you, border around. And it's happened with the railroads. We kind of played a little bit with Union Pacific, and they go, yeah, that was cute. We're Union Pacific, we're tier 1. We'll just put it in another place. Are we done here? And we'll move over there to San Antonio. We'll put our hijacks over there. Any other questions? Or we'll cross it. No, we don't have to cross right here. Yeah.
I think, if I may, that was Mr. Vela's intent on making it a port authority. He wanted less money to come to council for discretionary funds that then go to pet projects. Am I remembering?
Yes, that was what he said.
So I'm probably giving something up. So
In theory, our representatives are supposed to represent us to the best of our ability, and they're supposed to keep all that so that we all do better. I know I see it all the time. I see it with the taxpayers on the appraisal district. Going, my taxpayer go, yeah, the values are through the roof. People want to buy land here. Only 2 things affect that: buyer, seller. You know, I wish it could stay at $51 an acre. It's not $51 an acre, you know? But those are some of the things, those are nice concepts. Again, I say charter revision, we're trying to write the Constitution, modify, clean up, and if you ask me, I really liked our definition changes. I like those, that's nice, good stuff. I think it adds a lot to our charter revision where we talk, what is the council? Is it council and mayor? I'll never forget that, Mr. Carranco. And you know, I don't want to limit our dreaming at all, but the reality, I want to turn in some assignment, you know, when we get graded, and I want to be able to look at something that we're gonna to move, and I think all the suggestions were important. Yes, sir, Mr. Carranco.
Mr. Chair, sorry, Mr. Deputy City Attorney here. I have a question on this here. Would it be possible to offer us in line item, in addition to your other tasks, the various changes, the various changes we have asked for? To your point, I think generally, I would seem that we all would like to submit the changes that we've suggested in full, but we maybe want to itemize their importance and essentially do what you want to do in this regard, saying that these are the ones we really, really think are very important, and here are the ones that are also very, very important, but they're not the first 10.
I heard that, Andrew Carranco, I heard that was actually I never even looked at something like that. A need and a like. I do my math like that. When I'm paying bills, what do we need and what do we want as to be scooted on down a little bit down?
All that said, Andrew Carranco again, if we could submit that in its entirety, just merely itemize the necessity.
I like that, Andrew, and that way it gave respect to all the thoughts that were brought up, but we put a list there for them. Again, my humble opinion, we're going to have to sell this. And I hope I could count on everyone being there. Everyone has a tie into the council, and it's going to be important that, you know what we did, we brainstormed a whole lot. We all feel strong about this, and we could get behind it, because then we still need them to consider that. Yes, there's also another way you could do a petition and go, but let's focus on this one. Yes, sir, Henry. Suvene.
Changing the subject a little bit, but I also want to note, and I hope that we all as commissioners agree with this point here, but many of the recommendations we've made, especially when we're talking about the redistricting, or districts being a little different.
Yes, sir.
Or employees taking leave and coming, running for office and then coming back. All of that would be not affecting any existing agreements that the city has, any existing elected officials. The idea is that these are
It's future.
recommendations for future, not to affect the current, and they're only recommendations. You know, in other words, it's something that the council would consider and say, you know, we like this part, but not that part. But I just want to make sure that anybody listening to the conversation doesn't think, wait, you know, I just got elected, you know, to office, and now they're trying to do this to me. No, I just want to make sure we're not. That's not an intention. It's all for a future recommendation that affects a non-elected, a person who hasn't been elected at this point. Does that make sense?
Mr. Sune makes dollars, and I'm gonna join because it's real hard. I'm not gonna let you take away my $80 million credit card. I have it right now. But if you're going, no, boy, it's not you. It's in the future. Yeah, you did great. You did very great. We wouldn't be here but for you. We're talking about 2 generations down. It's not even you. Oh, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Okay, I think that would make it an easier sell. It's real hard to.
By
let
makes
go of
dollars,
elected.
you mean he makes a lot of sense.
Yes. It's real tough as an elected official to let go of power that was fought. So I just got here and I put the flag back.
We can
And the
make that a part of our
conversation-
presentation.
Yeah, and the conversation
Yes.
was never intended to be, at least from my part. it's
At
never
not targeting
intended-
anyone
Not
particular,
targeting
we're
anyone,
trying to
exactly.
fix. Yeah, there you go. I agree. Agreed. We all seem to agree with that, right? Excellent. Excellent. So we'll make sure that we're always keeping an eye on that it's not something targeted towards an individual. Again, you could weaponize stuff, but is the purpose to make real change?
Our
you know?
purpose is to bring people to our side and to convince them that this is a good idea for the
I agree,
future.
Mr. Sune.
And you're not gonna convince anybody when it affects someone immediately, right?
Yes, sir, Mr. Jack. Byam.
I'm just wondering how we're leaving it with the issue of the Port Authority. Do we want to make it part of our presentation, but not provide new language in the charter? Or do we want to draft new language in the charter?
Mr. Henry Suvidi, yes.
This was something that was brought up by Commissioner Vela.
Right.
And I suggest we
Table it till he returns?
yes.
Okay. I motion we table it until he returns.
We have a motion by Jack Byam.
Second.
We have a second by Andrew Caranco. Any discussion? Call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None opposed with Tanya? Oh.
No, I have I want your recognition.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you were voting. Okay, Tanya Benavides in abstention and Roque Vela in abstention. But that is our motion. We tabled the Port Authority till Mr. Hutt comes
Oh,
back.
I
Mr. Caranco.
second the motion. I don't want to go against my own motion. A question for Mr. Maldonado. We heard that the Port Authority is, and I realize we tabled this, but this is subsequent to this, that the Port Authorities are done by council edicts. Would it be possible to do research into the question of how they are established in charters across the nation? Whether San Francisco has it in its own charter, New York, Duluth, Minnesota. Hell, Tulsa, Oklahoma has a Port Authority.
Yeah, it's part of the inland waterway. Absolutely.
So is that research you may be able to help establish for the next meeting? Or is that an answer you know currently?
No, I would
And
have
if
to
the
do
answer is no, I think we've learned we'd rather hear, you know what, beautiful I can't.
And as
I love you guys by
mentioned, as you do research, the port authorities, I mean, they're all structured, most of them differently. I mean, it's quite a bit of information, the research work that we would need to go and do, but every single Port Authority, I mean, is structured differently. I mean, we, like ourselves, I mean, I just gave you an analysis how we operate, yes?
Fair point.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Maldonado.
Shall we move on to consider? Or do you want to?
No, because maybe Mr. Byam, I'm hitting the. We've hit some good points, but you see how sometimes we'll jump, and we do have this agenda. I do not want to skip over anyone that they think it's important, but I don't mind even doing that. Okay, we're to look at Section 9. Municipal Court Judge was here. while we're talking, I whispered Chrissy's ears, do you want to talk anything about city attorney? Do you want to jump into anything there? Just because she had experience. And I would tell anybody here, if there's some section that's important and you want to jump, propose it here so we can address it. At the end of the evening, I want to make sure we heard everyone and we didn't run out of time or we didn't give it its proper thought. If I could, just on city attorney, it took so long for her to remember she was you were interim and it was going to be, and then the city council got involved with where to change different city managers, and you're going, this is a functioning body that has to be. And there's just some of the stuff, I don't know, that would always left a weird taste, and maybe it's because I was there and I saw it. It was had it been 10 seconds or you were just right over here, it would have been completely different, and it became something else. It got caught up with, no, this city manager's going to go out there, there's going to be a transition, and all of a sudden it got pushed back. And again, this is me as a taxpayer going, wait a minute, I need that corporation functioning just fine. We cannot live without this position, and I need to make sure it's doing fine. And why did we do something like that?
How do you change that?
I don't know. And then sometimes, again, you know the pressure, and you heard Dr. Reyes, where she goes, hey, you need independence, you don't need a strong, but you felt the influences. You know what it's like to be tugged in one way or the other, or for you to have to do the hard one and go, Mr. Byam, absolutely not. We cannot do that. Oh, you're not going to give it to me, boy. Okay, we've got our buddies here, and they're going, I'm telling you, you can't do that. Listen to me, or you could wind up in a special college that you do not want to go to. And that's sometimes their hardest job, is the absolutely not. Not the dream it, and legally, yeah, you could design it, you know. I'll design it, okay. It's that part. So, Chris, I didn't know there's something
No,
you
I think we
with the
discussed it
charter?
already, and it's, again, and you even made the comment, it's either the council or it's the city manager at the time. You can't really predict, so I think we already went through this pretty and that's why we needed to see what other cities were doing. That's one of the ones that we had asked about, so we could make a final decision. That's one of the reasons.
Thank you, Chrissy. And what I share, that's why sometimes I'll see, like Dr. Reyes, you'll say stuff, so how do you know? Yeah, because I was over here, I saw how the sausage is being made, or I saw how the magicians do the sawing that in half, and you're going, wait, where is that in city chart? Well, it's not city chart. It's really, they're going to do this, and this is how they put the thumb on the scale, so you're going to do, and I also hear you say, I want transparency, and how do you get past that? You know, how do you see something like that? Or like we're asking, then where's the loyalty? Because the people think the title says you belong to the city, not to the individual, and if it's not that, then maybe it's something we should address here. Like I that's why a lot of times I'll look at you and go, okay, why did you ask that question, or where did that come from? Because then that's
Lots of people look at me like that.
no, but Dr. Reyes, so that we couldn't answer, because I bet you 90% of the world didn't see how that played in. I could tell you the dynamics, and if you looked on TV, you didn't see anything. All of a sudden, we went into executive, we came out, and then there was something that happened apparently, because everything just stopped. And yeah, there was a lot that happened. You know, she had to wait because they needed to decide, because maybe this guy, and what does that have to do with city attorney? Oh, absolutely nothing, but absolutely everything apparently. Okay, I remember that. Or my wife will ask me stories like that. Okay, how did these things happen? How do you fight a city manager that doesn't like you? Is it powerful? Ooh, yeah, and they let you know all the time, and then you have to counter back. You know, thank God I didn't need a salary or anything, because then you could show up at every meeting like that. He couldn't. I could tell the city manager, like, he'd go, you think I'm an ogre? Absolutely. And then everyone would clear the room, because these guys are, yeah, I'm going to call you the way it is. My job doesn't depend on yours. Those are the people that put me there, and they're the ones that are going to take me out. And it gives you that level of bravado. And then what's he going to do? He might be tight with the banking community. bankers don't pay my salary over there. You're still independent. And you want that kind of play. That dynamic's incredible. And wherever that could be designed, I like that. Oh, I absolutely like that. Does anybody have any other section they want to talk about, or?
Well,
Mr.
we made it through.
By him.
We made it through only a few sections last time. We could just sort of pick up where we left off.
Absolutely.
Now, this one last word, I suppose, about the city judge. We're pending a couple of things. The comparison with other cities that you had mentioned and asked for, but also the language that he had brought tonight.
You want that Death Star so you could see, is this something?
Well, whatever he had printed up there, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and that's what, and everyone understands what he's talking about when you're underneath, if you're a home rule or you a general, what's the difference? Okay, the bigger they could design.
So once we have those two things, we could probably take some more action on the municipal judge, but we could table it for now.
Yeah.
I'm worried about tabling. Can I just share something? We can also take action, and that happens independent in another one. And we went down, and this what was our. If the legislator took it out, well, this is what we put down.
Well, if
because I don't know if we're going to get more information. In theory, guys, I feel that clock just ticking.
If we're all basically persuaded by his presentation and the need for another judge, then I think we should vote on it tonight.
Can I just make a, can we
Sure.
just make that subject to state law, if that's allowed by state?
Yeah, you can. Subject to state law, absolutely.
I guess legal could look into.
They'll put it together like that.
Are you gonna make a motion, Jack?
Sure. I motion that we amend the charter to add another elected city judge. Municipal judge. Excuse me, municipal judge.
Section 502.
The language he's proposing?
Yes, it was subject here 9, but section 5 of the
And
charter, absolutely.
There were 2 elected judges, and each of them had the authority to appoint an associate.
Okay. We have a motion by Jack Vyam. Do we have a second? We have a. I'm sorry. Do you want discussion?
Subject to state law.
Well, I would ask you to add,
Oh, yes. I'd like to amend my motion to, subject to the review
Of HB 2127.
of HB 2127, the state law pertaining to the,
All state law that will make return.
all state law that may pertain to this change that we're proposing.
I second the motion.
But she was going to do it, and then you called. No, okay. Tanya, is that I recognize Henry Sue. No, now you did it, sir. Henry Sue. Any discussion? No discussion. Call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None opposed. The ayes have it.
Okay, very
Guys, we're very lucky, and I'm just gonna put out there, if there's state law that usurps, they usually flex their muscle, they get us into the fence. They're very generous enough to tell us, we cross the line or whatever, stand back, that's US treaty, you're out of your bounds there.
They don't tell us.
I understand, and that's why I'm fine. I think it's absolutely correct, and I like the way you put it. It puts the on us, and just to put it correctly. So I like that. We're not trying to rewrite state law. Absolutely. Yes, sir, Mr. Maldonado.
We can just pause for a minute because he needs to change the battery.
What's going on? It's that section. We've had so much trouble with just one line of Ms. Navarro, just this side of it. Go right ahead. Absolutely.
Do we need to make a motion?
Do we need
To pause the meeting.
I mean, look, I'll make it right. It is 7:47. We're gonna go on break to change.
Recess.
Recess, yes. Recess, not break. Recess. We're off the. Ready? It is 8 o'clock. We're back from break. Is there another item or any section we need to address? If I'd stop eating a chip, let me just direct that. We could talk about
state judge,
Yeah.
are we, and I'm not comparing the level or anything like that, but I'm just saying, are there requirements in terms of experience?
Yeah, the state judges do have.
certain numbers and the practice.
District
of
judge
law.
wants 5 years, is it? 5 years for a district judge?
And
then
actually practicing it, not
Yeah.
just being an attorney.
Exactly.
Like,
And then the higher you go, even experience in court, the
And
number of
given-
years increases.
And given what the cases, the kind of cases that were being described that are gonna be heard, and how important they are, and international, maybe that's not a bad idea.
Right.
it's not bad, and I don't think you're really gonna hold anyone out. Yeah, if you pass. There's
Right.
an election every 2 years. In theory, you're just saying, okay, let's sit out one. You just graduated, and
Yeah.
you should be able to catch it.
Yeah, in the second.
So I don't think you're. Well, we're trying. I would think that we don't want to make that pool. No. It's got to be only a judge whose first name starts with O and sounds like Nelas, kind of. Okay, now you're just designing that for you, sir. Okay, yeah, you don't want that. You want it broad.
I think 3 years means we'll still have a lot of candidates.
Absolutely. I don't think you made it unreasonably small.
So I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So we're voting on changing it to that language?
I thought we had voted on that already.
No,
No,
we took Jack Byam's motion, and when you say that, it sounds like we're kind of mirroring it, or we can always depart, Yes, sir, Mr. Caranco.
Because we all seem to agree with the majority of the document as it stands so far.
Right.
Why don't we go, if I may make a recommendation, Chair, that we go through the rest of the document and effectively ensure that we've gone through it and then make a motion to accept the language as presented in the document.
I love that.
This document.
Yes, that.
It doesn't go much further.
Yeah.
There's one more paragraph.
And I like
Yeah, it's about
that
the associates.
Jack Byam had passed that motion.
Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah, it seemed like that we could modify and then add it.
No,
Yeah,
because
this
he's
is the one
voting
we
for
went
The,
through.
the motion he made was.
He made it just a judge not accepting it. And
Yeah.
that's fine.
So let's see here.
Except for the supermajority.
The second part there is for the supermajority.
Okay, so do you
And they
want
shall
to
serve at the pleasure of the judge. So there's 3 things in there in addition to what Jack has, Professor Byam has added in here. So there's effectively 4 modifications we're making to this document. I will make a motion that there are 3 other changes in the document. The first one is,
we already accepted that one. I would say do the
what's the second?
the supermajority.
Well, no, whatever, it was right after. Was there anything else in the first paragraph?
The experience?
The experience, thank you. I'm acting like Rick Perry there for
No,
a second.
no.
Um,
And we can take them because we're gonna design it just
4
the same.
departments we're getting rid of. Okay, so there are 3, I motion that we accept the changes that are made in this document, particularly to the last 3 points here. The judges shall have 3 years of experience, that they shall be, that judges, or the associate judges may be hired and fired or may be fired at the discretion of the judge, and that they may be hired with a supermajority of counsel at 6. In other words, I make a motion to accept the language as presented in the document, as presented by Judge Dominguez.
With the modification of.
Yeah,
so 5 to
supermajority. Yeah,
6,
don't.
Right?
Stay with yours then.
Adopting that? and
I
then
know,
plus
I
that-
stick to my.
Stay with you.
Well,
yeah.
no, but you don't. But I already messed up. I rescind my motion. Okay.
So
Then
close.
then we make another motion here.
The chair recognizes Andrew Caranco.
I make a motion that we accept the language in this document as presented by Judge Dominguez to supersede Mr. Byam's previous motion.
With the addition of?
Yeah, you're not done, sir.
The
No,
addition
no,
of
that-
supermajority.
No,
Yeah, because
I-
that document talked about it for 5 and you're asking for 6.
Yeah, so
Make it your own, sir.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
I would do it on my own.
okay. So in addition to this, I would like to, in addition to this motion accepting these changes, I would like to make a change to this document that says that a council supermajority must be required in order to hire a judge.
Fire.
I
Higher.
second that motion.
God, that's messy.
Fire.
You have a motion by Andrew Caranco, Second by Tanya Benavides.
Yes.
Any
We
discussion?
got there.
No discussion. Call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None opposed. The ayes have it.
Danielle, I'm so sorry.
So that's how we
Yeah,
took
you
care
did.
of section 5, which was item number 9.
Yay.
All right, that's good. I
We got
love
rid
that.
of one item.
Do you have everyone? I make a motion. We all now scratch that. All right, nice. Okay.
Now we have to go through this again.
Mr. Taranco.
Mr. Chair, in the interest of time, as we're beginning to, I think, understand this document very well and whatnot, if another member would like to bring up one more item, may I make a suggestion that we try to put a time limit at 9 o'clock for this committee to adjourn?
I'm going to have to leave at 8:30, but please.
We can modify it if you want to make a modification, sir.
You
That
still
might be.
have quorum. I just want to let you know that I'll be
Yeah.
back at 8:30.
And do you think that'll be in the future too? Cause
Nope.
I'm
Turning.
willing to allow it 8:30. It's a hard line.
I
have no problem with.
I'm okay with 8:30.
8:30 is fine.
8:30.
In other words,
We have a motion by.
oh, it doesn't have to be a motion, just a suggestion to the chair. Because this is the committee meets at your pleasure.
I do like it, and I like it in the formal motion. That way, it also shows it.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
I make a motion that we adjourn at 8:30.
We have a motion by Andrew Caranco that we set a limit on 8:30.
Second.
We have a second by Christy Hale.
Make an
any
amendment
dis-
on the time zone to,
Drainage. That the time authority should be, no, I'm doing authority, don't. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second, any discussion, no discussion, call for the vote, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Our time minutes at 8:30, excellent.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir, Mr. Maldonado.
before, I know we have 7 minutes before we adjourn.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to remind the committee, we have a meeting scheduled, it was scheduled
Yes, sir.
for May 21st.
Okay.
That is for next week.
Beautiful.
And if you all wanted to have another meeting the following week,
Yes.
we were gonna be recommending the 30th. Those are the dates that we have, the 28th or 30th, we have the council chambers available.
Awesome.
The May 30th, and then because of deadlines that we also have to place ordinances, workshops with the council, we were going to recommend to the commission to make their presentation to the council June 10th. They do have a meeting scheduled for that day.
2 more meetings.
The council has already been advised by the city manager that to be providing dates for a workshop somewhere between June 18th through July 12th to have a workshop. And
Workshop on what?
I'm sorry?
What kind of a workshop?
Workshop to basically go over the recommendations that you're gonna be making.
Got it.
Yes. And then,
June 10th should be our hard deadline.
and as far as staff and to make sure that we meet the guidelines in order to, for the ordinances, we were planning to make our introduction of an ordinance and public hearing on starting on the 22nd.
Okay.
And then the second reading would be August 5th.
the other, what were the meeting dates in May again, sorry?
21st?
There was a meeting already, that had already been scheduled for the 21st, that's next week. And then if you need to have another meeting in May, we were gonna recommend the 28th and the 30th, the council chambers is available for those days.
How are you all looking for 28th or 30th?
Can I suggest that we count on next week's meeting on the 21st? And that we put on our agendas the 28th and the 30th. If we don't meet on the 30th, because we don't have to meet on the 30th, we don't. But let's go ahead and decide we're gonna meet now. That's a possibility.
Mr. Suni, just for thought, the quicker they reserve it, he hells it. Once he gets it for us, nobody bumps us. You know what I mean? So
That's
No,
what-
yeah,
that's
but
what-
what
yeah,
he's saying-
That's what I'm saying.
We wanna get both.
Oh, you want both? Oh, okay. I thought you were like, no,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
not
no,
really
no,
visit
no,
till
the
next week.
21st to
Wanda,
28th.
can you
That's
do
a good
that?
idea. Let's do that.
The 28, 30,
Sorry.
and we're really going to use one, but keep those for
Those
us.
days,
For sure, the
So you act
Those
like,
3
if we
days.
can reserve those 2 days.
Those
Three.
3
3
days.
days.
24, 28.
don't do this, because we already have the 21st.
I just want to start this
The
out.
21st is
Not
re-
that- yeah, you don't need to change it for me, but I was just gonna
Of
say.
course we do. What do you need?
I'm not gonna be here on the 21st, I'm gonna be out of town unfortunately, so I may miss if you'll have.
You have
it.
internet.
I can, I'm in a different time
I'm
zone.
joking,
Uh,
Cliff, don't listen.
I can do the 28th,
You can.
I can, so that works, and I would request, if possible, we could do maybe the 29th. I'm not able to do the 30th, I have a medical thing, but I.
28th then.
Are we allowed, if we're not available, can we do the internet like that?
How are you for
Remotely?
Zooming missing people?
Chambers?
They can, right?
The chambers.
And-
It's allowable.
This is nice.
We go to the chambers, we
So-
got some capability over there.
Friendly.
Virtual.
So,
Wait, but Mr. Killam needs the 28th. Can we commit to the 28th?
Yes.
The
Yeah.
3 days.
No, no.
For
They
sure.
want to
No,
3 days.
then we're not going to do the 30th. We're going to
No,
do
no,
it.
If needed only,
It's either-
depending on
So,
the
so
28th.
we
I
can
got
move,
you, I got you.
the question, yeah, if needed, the 30th, but if you're not available on the 30th, then Mr. Killam's suggesting the 29th.
Chambers is not available for the 28th.
Is anything available? What about the 3rd floor at the, across from the Jarvis Plaza? That room's been used for public meetings.
We would need to verify.
Okay.
That's
Or
what-
the
What I-
airport,
what I-
according to the
Wow.
judge.
What we can do.
That's where I used to have with the judge.
Yeah.
What we can do is call other departments, for example, airport, they have a conference room. We can find another conference room, but we need to make sure we have the capability to record.
At the airport, yeah, we can record.
You can record?
And Zoom, they have capabilities at the airport also.
Okay.
I want to.
Airport.
So the suggestion
Want
here,
to, and
from
it
what,
forces
from what
us
I
to come up
understand,
with something
the
really
suggestion
good.
is that we lock down the 21st, I'm sorry, the 28th and the 29th.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, we have, do you want to do the formal motion?
Committed, fully committed.
I move that we set our next 3 meetings for planning purposes, set our next 3 meetings to be the 21st of May, the 28th of May, and the 29th of May, subject to the availability of a meeting room.
On the 29th.
Yes, and the 29th, 21st, 28th, and 29th. I'm sorry, did I say 30?
No, I'm just saying that the room is available for the 21st and the 28th. That's set.
Okay, yeah, oh, we know it's available. Okay, yeah, the
Yes.
29th then, sorry.
No,
Subject to availability, so that we can conclude our work here as a commission.
We have a motion by Henry Souvenir. Is there a second? Second by Cliff Killam. Any discussion?
Can I just clarify something? Okay.
Oh, we're gonna meet, Mario.
Did you want to meet both days, the 29th or 28th? Meet
No.
or one or the other?
No,
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 planning to
Mario.
meet on both.
Let's,
Okay.
They want
let's
it.
plan on meeting on both. Let's
Okay,
say on the
okay, great.
28th.
Okay, I got you.
What we said is, if the 28th we say, you know what? Yeah,
Okay, great,
then we're finished.
that's fine. Great.
But we
Close
don't,
those
yeah,
eyes.
we don't wanna cause ourselves a problem.
We have a motion by Henry Souvenir. We had a second, did we, or?
Yes, by
Yes.
Mr. Kill.
Mr. Killam, call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None opposed. Can I say something? I don't turn in papers like that. I like hard deadlines and then flip right. Okay, I'll give you the weekend. Yes! I get scared to put a third day. I want 2 days. No, that's the only, and then we look at it because it forces us to. I am so creative the last 5 minutes. If I could have been like that 2 months before, it would have been a bestseller. Yes, sir, Mr.
Mr. Maldonado, what was the date we're presenting
Oh, we
to
haven't
council?
adjourned
June
yet.
10th.
June
and
10th.
June
10th, that's a council meeting
I won't-
scheduled already.
I won't be here for that.
June 10th, yes.
Connecticut.
June 10th?
Yes.
I thought it was in May.
I didn't go to that one because I had to be here.
It must be nice, Mr. Caranco. Well, we can't
I
do
make
that
them-
one.
Can we ask for the next meeting that we'll have like a running list of exactly
You're gonna
what?
miss it too, aren't you?
Was that June 10th? June 30th? Yes, I missed that. If y'all have a meeting on June 30th, come out.
What we, the ninth?
Or May 30th.
No, you're gonna
Do
miss
you
the,
want a motion or you want me?
21st?
Yeah, I'm missing
Mr.
the
Walter,
21st
can you
and the 30th.
present a list for us of
Is there gonna be,
what you
conference?
have,
Yeah.
what?
Absolutely.
A lot of work.
You know, we appreciate it, right?
My current.
Thank you.
I get you some.
Does it help if I visit the city attorney and just go, this is very, yeah, committee needs some.
You got your monster, I got my
I got
copy.
it.
But also like what we voted on, like what.
Damn, that's big.
Not everything, not just that.
first meeting.
We came to the deadline, but.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion
Yes, sir, Mr. Caranco.
to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn by Andrew Caranco, second by Christy Hale. No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, none opposed.